Are you out of your mind? Tear this down right now. I'm calling the police.
Go ahead, ask them who gave you permission to park on my private lawn.
What?
She parked her SUV halfway across my driveway and halfway on the freshly mowed lawn beside my garage on a Monday morning, then told me it was HOA common property. I didn't argue. I called my lawyer. He confirmed what I already knew. My driveway, my lawn, my property, 100% mine. So I hired a construction crew and told them one thing: build me a concrete wall around that SUV. Every single side. By Tuesday morning, her vehicle was completely enclosed inside 4 feet of solid concrete. Karen stood in my driveway staring at it with her mouth hanging open, unable to believe what she was seeing. Stay with me, because what happened next turned into the most satisfying HOA revenge story I've ever lived through. Before we continue, comment below and tell me what city you're watching from. If you enjoy HOA and lawn care stories like this, hit follow so you don't miss part 2. I had lived in my house for 3 years without a single problem. I paid my HOA dues every month. I followed every rule. I kept my property spotless. But the one thing I was most proud of was the lawn beside my garage. Every Saturday morning, I mowed it myself. I edged every line by hand. The stripes were perfectly straight, clean enough to look like a golf course. Neighbors often slowed down just to look at it. Everything, including that lawn and my driveway, was listed on the property deed under my name. Every inch belonged to me. Karen had been HOA president for 7 years. Blonde hair, black HOA polo, clipboard glued to one hand. She had a talent for creating problems where none existed. One Monday morning, she knocked on my front door. She pointed directly at the lawn beside my garage and said it had always been HOA common property. Then she told me I wasn't allowed to mow it anymore because it belonged to the neighborhood. I looked at her and said, "Karen, that's my lawn." She crossed her arms and said she'd spent weeks researching the property lines and knew exactly what she was talking about. I didn't argue. I walked back inside, pulled out my deed, and checked every measurement, every boundary, every legal description. The driveway was mine. The lawn beside it was mine. Every single inch. That afternoon, I called my property lawyer. He reviewed everything in less than 30 minutes. Then he said exactly what I expected. Your driveway and that lawn are entirely private property. The HOA has absolutely no legal claim. I called Karen. I calmly explained what my attorney had confirmed. She laughed. Then she said she'd been HOA president for 7 years and knew this neighborhood better than any lawyer ever could. I simply said, "Understood." Then I hung up. The next morning, I woke up around 7, grabbed my coffee, and looked out my bedroom window. Karen's white SUV was sitting across my driveway. 2 tires were buried deep in the freshly cut lawn I'd spent hours mowing the evening before. The clean stripes were destroyed. Fresh tire tracks cut straight across the grass. I couldn't get my truck out. I couldn't leave for work. I stood there quietly for a long moment. Then I picked up my phone. First I called my lawyer. Then I called my contractor. I said 4 words. "Build me a wall." He was silent for a second. Then he asked, "Is this legal?" I replied, "She's trespassing on my private property. I have legal confirmation that both the driveway and the lawn belong to me." He paused again. Then he asked, "How thick do you want it?" I smiled. "Thick enough that nobody's driving that SUV anywhere without heavy equipment." With my attorney handling the paperwork, every required permit was approved before the end of the day. The construction crew arrived just after 5 the following morning. 4 workers, 2 cement mixers, stacks of concrete forms, steel reinforcement bars, everything needed for a project Karen would never forget. They started by building the forms around all 4 sides of her SUV. Steel went in next. Concrete followed, section by section, pour after pour. I sat on my porch drinking coffee, watching every minute of it. By 7 o'clock, the front wall was finished. By 8, the rear wall. By 9, both side walls stood solid. Karen's SUV was completely surrounded by 4 massive concrete walls. No room to drive. No room to open the doors. No way out. At exactly 9:15, Karen turned onto my street in her second vehicle. She slowed down, stopped, stepped out, then froze. She stared at the concrete enclosure where her SUV used to be visible. She walked to one side, pushed against the wall. Nothing. She hurried to the other side, pushed again. Nothing moved. Then she looked down. The tire tracks were still pressed into the lawn she'd claimed wasn't mine. Only now her SUV wasn't going anywhere either. That's when she finally looked at me sitting on my porch with my coffee, and realized her biggest mistake wasn't parking on my property. It was assuming I wouldn't do anything about it. Comment lawn if you think Karen brought this on herself. Share this with someone who loves HOA karma stories, and follow for part 2. You won't believe what Karen tried to do next.